I think we're reaching a societal inflection point when it comes to children on TV and on the internet. So I know this is chaotic, but this is how my ADHD brain works. I notice these connections between things, and I think we're in a really interesting moment. I saw this article today about the teen moms. The original teen moms are all like 32 now. Their own kids are 16. And I'll go into the article a little bit more, but one of the things that was really interesting was that Caitlyn specifically was talking about how the relationship with the adoptive parents of her first kid, the kid that she had on the show, has been severely affected by continuing to film the show, right? Teen Mom has had like 5 iterations, I think. It's been on for a bunch of seasons. They have basically been following these people for years now, and it's literally affecting her real life. I did not read Such a Bad Influence by Olivia Munter, but I know it just came out and it's about a family. It's a thriller about a family YouTuber. The House of My Mother by Shari Frank just came out. I did not read it, but I listened to the Celebrity Memoir Book Club episode, and it is about this exact thing where this girl was the victim of her mother's like family YouTube channel and had to suffer at her like emotional abuse. The HBO original documentary, An Update on Our Family, about that family who gave up their son who was on the spectrum up for adoption after adopting him, and like vlogging the entire process of adopting him to begin with. And finally, a little bit of a personal experience with a blogger that I used to follow. So like I said, this article was in The Cut and it's by Fortessa Latiti. One of the things that was really fascinating was that basically they have an awareness of like living their lives fully on TV, right? Caitlyn, Leah, and Macy, who have all been on the show for years and years at this point, I'm not super familiar with their stories. I did not watch Teen Mom. If you know me, I watch reality TV, but like I need the glamour. I watched a couple of episodes of the original, a couple of episodes of Teen Mom too, but I did read the article because I love reality TV. Similar to a lot of the people that were sort of struggling with this last summer in the reality reckoning, they are reckoning with their place in the like pop culture canon in the sense that their mistakes are sort of ossified and frozen in time, right? I'm not saying that having a baby is a mistake. They themselves said it if you want to read the article, because I know that you guys love to comment without listening or reading. They said, I made a mistake. I might as well profit off of it, right? And like, that is a very sort of cynical way to look at it, but it was also 16 years ago, right? We weren't necessarily thinking about like motherhood and teen parenting the same way. If anything, I think we were worse back then as a society. I do think that in their heart of hearts, I think the three of them are all struggling with how much of their lives to show on the show. But again, the Faustian bargain, they've given up so much of their lives to be on the show, and this is the source of their income, right? They're making a decent salary. The article said at least 6 figures. I know that MTV doesn't pay like Bravo, but still, they've been on the show for a long time. And like, I understand how it would be hard to give up, but at the same time, they're sort of, again, giving away their children's privacy to be on TV and get rich. I highly recommend the Celebrity Memoir Book Club episode about this book. I was shook. I am not a YouTube person, but I was absolutely gagged at all of the stuff that the mother did, the way that she controlled their finances, the way that she emotionally abused all of her kids in the name of content was terrifying. The way that she would like pose them and pry them and be like, smile like this and recreate and honestly terrorize them in the making fun of them, teasing them, just like being really mean for the sake of a reaction to like put it on YouTube. This documentary, absolutely sick, and again showing this really dark side of like what it takes to create this content and like exploit your family. And finally, if you've been on the internet for a long time or you're similar to my age, you probably remember Heather Armstrong. She was a blogger who had Deuce. She was like one of the OG mommy bloggers from like 2004 to 2012. She had 8.5 monthly readers and was making like $50,000 a month. In this article by Shavi Lieber in 2019, she talked about how her entire life fell apart when her husband left her, the blog shut down, she had real struggles with her mental health. And again, content warning, but this article was written in 2019. Unfortunately, Heather Armstrong did lose her battle with her mental health in 2023. One of the things that sort of brought this back for me, I read her blog when I was in high school. So I read it for like 6 years going into college when she was like at the height of her power. And it was really interesting the way that she talked about everything on this blog, right? She like talked about the way her daughter had like bowel obstructions. She talked about having her second kid. Like I remember when she got pregnant, it was so weird now thinking back that like the intimate details of this woman's life were just like on the internet, right? And unfortunately, it wasn't just her life. It like started turning into content about the mommy blogging thing, right? She like was making content off of her kids. I don't know the state of her blog now. It makes me too sad to like look, but I remember as a regular reader that at some point she instituted a policy where she would like talk to her kids about putting them on the blog, and she like eventually pulled back, but like there was a point where her kid, I think the older one, was like, I don't want to be content anymore. I don't want to be on the blog. Between the house of my mother and the Deuce story, I know that there is so much hurt and pain that is like ripe for sort of harvesting with all of these stories. And I'm like scared what the next 10 years are going to bring as more and more children of these like content mills come forward and talk about their experiences being sort of mined for content.